Alright guys, welcome back to another video. As you can see, we're in the garage once again. In today's video, we're going to be touching on a few topics with the Mark II, such as one major issue and hopefully fixing that issue as well within this video. Talking about another issue that I have that I need to fix ASAP, and then also talking about why my hood and fender are another color. So, lots to talk about in this video. First thing we're going to be starting off with the cooling system. With this one the other day, I drove across town. In Vegas, that's about 45 minutes. Was visiting my girlfriend at work and the car started overheating. Luckily, it didn't overheat to the point it was in the red. Just went a line or two above the operating temperature. Went ahead and pulled over in that parking lot where she works, checked the radiator, and essentially bone dry. Luckily, I was able to throw some water in there and make it home with no issues. Car ran super smooth, but definitely knew that I need to flush that system. So on the top of the priority list today is taking care of that cooling system, hopefully flushing that and hopefully getting it redialed in. So starting off, like I said, I'm hoping the video quality and the mic quality is a lot better this video. Definitely wanted to say thank you guys for all the love and support on that last video. It was my first video and I'm kind of posting these just to document the process of the Mark II and, you know, not really post them for views or money or anything like that thing, but just kind of be able to look back and be like, man, this is how the Mark II looked. And hopefully one day when it's a full-blown show car in a few years from now, I could look back at that and be like, wow, you know, this is what this car looked like. And this is what I've turned it into, especially, you know, when you're older and you want to show your kids, like, listen, you know, back in the day, I used to be with it. So definitely wanted to just say thank you and for all the love and support on the last video. It means a lot to me, seriously. I've always loved videos of just people just yapping in the garage, fixing stuff. So that's kind of how I hope this all feels. Just a guy doing it by himself in the garage, if that makes sense. Now, as far as talking about some things that have been done to the car recently, went ahead and started wrap. So this is how the wrap is coming out. I'll be able to throw some better videos in there of actually how the wrap looks. You can tell it is a heavy pearl. So far, all I've been able to do is wrap the fender and the hood right now. No matter how much I sand it down, these bumps are always going to be there. So if you guys have any tips on anything that I should do to help fix that for future reference, please let me know. As far as the pearl is looking really good. This is a snow, like, pearl white. This is my first time wrapping, so keep in mind it does not look the best by any means. There you can kind of see that pearl. But like I said, I have no, you know, history with wrapping vehicles or anything like that, so I'm kind of just winging it as I'm going. It does not look the worst, I will say that. Literally all those bumps on the hood, I have sanded it down to, like, basically bare metal. And no matter what, you know, there's some air bubbles, definitely not perfect. It doesn't help that it is like December as I'm trying to do this, like December and January as I'm wrapping it. But I'm just hoping that it comes out a lot better than the factory paint. I have no issues with the factory paint, except for the fact that this is literally like sandpaper, and the fact that it's a faded two-tone, and with the kit it's already 3 colors, so might as well make it 3 colors for right now until it's finished wrapping. So like I was saying, this is my first time wrapping a car, so bear with me if it does not look super perfect. Really scared to wrap the actual kit just because of all the shapes. Kind of scared on that, but definitely looking forward to at least starting it. This is definitely version 1 of the car. Weirdly enough, even though the car is factory white, I never wanted it white in the sense of I wanted to wrap it like a really metallic-y black. Definitely wanted to go with black with some chrome tint, some chrome wheels, the casual hot boy thing for these cars. But the homie Ian just offered me the wrap at a price that was way too nice, especially, you know, as a throwaway to try to learn how to wrap and get a lot more familiar with it before I try to tackle something like a wrap that I want for the end game. I do want to wrap it a few times, just see what colors look good on the car before actually painting it. My end goal is to paint it, but we'll kind of see where that takes us. So one thing that I have been getting started on is the wrap. Another thing that I have been touching on, the engine bay. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So of course, in the last video, we did go ahead and tackle the HKS intake. With that, only thing I've really done since then is installing these, you know, fluid reservoir covers. Did get these from Priza Mike, shout out him, amazing YouTuber. This one unfortunately didn't fit over the brake fluid reservoir, so it's chilling right there. Haven't been touching too much on it, want to just make sure that everything maintenance wise is up to date. So for example, tackling the coolant in this video, as well as want to do some major things to the engine bay, such as the valve cover, painting and reseal, as well as timing belt, try to get a clear timing belt cover. I do want to try to find a clear coolant hose. I've been looking at a few, but got to find a custom one for this shape, I believe. Other than that, engine bay, like I said, is pretty much bone stock. Do have some just dress up hardware, but that is what it is, just something small. But have some big plans for the engine bay. Now, as far as the coolant flush goes, I do work at a, I guess it'd be called like like an oil change place or a lube shop, where we do oil changes, coolant flushes, a whole bunch of stuff. So I am fortunate enough to be able to do coolant flushes there with a machine. So let's go ahead and just jump to that, try to get started on that. So with this as well, lower line, it's near the fan a little bit, but lower line seems to be I don't want to jinx it, but air pocket free. Kind of just letting that sit, still have to top off the overflow. The temp is feeling good. I can't tell if the temp is actually cooler than it was before the coolant exchange. So I'm a little worried about that. As far as that though, it is still warm. All right guys, so currently doing the coolant exchange right now. System has been burping for a few minutes. Everything's actually looking pretty good. So this is it only took about 3 quarts out, and I had 2 bottles in here, so it's sitting about 8, so it took about 3.5 in. With that one, it's been burping, taking a little bit of that, so now it's got to watch that system go, and we should be fine to go.
I used to dream about a pink Impala, 22's up on that bitch, I wanna sit in proper.
All right guys, so got finished with the coolant exchange. Everything's running good. Keeping an eye on the temp. Temp really hasn't gone up, and I've already driven 20 minutes home. Only thing that is an issue I gotta fix with the car is something separate. So far, I don't wanna jinx it though, but coolant exchange was successful. Like I said, it only pulled out about 3-point-something quarts, and it input 3-point-something quarts back. So it does appear that it only drained about half of the coolant. So it's half old coolant, half new coolant. It is topped off though, and system has been burped. So it is running good. It's topped off. I don't think that there's any air in the system. Like I said, I've already driven 20 minutes so far, kind of back home. And like I said, the temperature really hasn't moved from that spot. The only thing that's really, temperature needle dropping down is as I'm, driving, kind of punching it a little bit, getting the speed up and RPMs up. And it does appear that the temperature starts to drop then, just because of how cold it is outside. Of course, more wind and everything hitting the actual radiator, cooling it. So I wanna venture to say it might have been a success, and still have some coolant left over. So tomorrow I'm just gonna start up the car and turn the car on and see if the coolant level drops after driving this home, and we should be chilling. All right guys, so almost home right now. So far I've driven about 25 minutes from one of my locations of where I work at to be able to do the coolant exchange. With this one, operating temp's been running really good. It hasn't gone over operating temp, luckily. It has dropped down temperature, temperature's decreasing as as I'm driving and kind of punching on it. More wind hitting the actual radiator. So it's running pretty good. Like I said, it only took out about 3.2 quarts and only put back in about 3.2 quarts. So definitely wasn't the full system. Full system on the 1 GFE says it should ring about 6.5 liters. So it's definitely on the low side. Right now, it's about half. I'm thinking it only drained out the actual radiator. My radiator itself, the coolant still looks, cross-contaminated. It is only about half new, half old, as well as it is a 30-year-old radiator. It's probably got a lot of buildup and rust inside of it, so I definitely got to get a new radiator. There is one other separate issue that's really impending on this car. Nothing super bad, but definitely something that I got to get go ahead and checked out, and it's something to do with a new exhaust I have coming, or in the works, I should say. But yeah, so far, car's looking good, running good. Drove about 20 minutes home. Nothing out of the ordinary with the temp needle. Definitely tomorrow, gonna verify that the heater core fully engaged and got all that coolant sucked back into that, as well as making sure that we're not low on coolant and that it is properly burped and no air in the system. I don't know if you guys can hear me really well over the hum of the engine, but yeah, so far everything's looking good. Tomorrow definitely got to get that dealt with, and you know, hopefully we're looking in the good, looking in the clear. So we'll check back in. All right, guys, we're home from doing the coolant flush. Like I said, car's running great, other than it just fluctuating down when the actual temperature was cooling down. We're in my room. I did want to show you guys just something kind of funny that I did notice. Little room tour, I guess. Shout out Pressure Racing, the actual GOAT's first actual brand to ever kind of see the cars. They sponsored the old car like the Subaru, so shout out them, OG. No, one thing that I did want to show you guys is when I first got the Mark II and I was at a car meet out here. I was at JCCM in Vegas. It's a Japanese classic car meet. There was a booth and they were selling old video option magazines. And I ended up buying one because it was a Mark II on the front. And it had a really cool kit. I thought it was sick. I just bought the Mark II. I was like, let me buy this magazine. After looking at the magazine, I ended up buying the same kit that is on the car that's on the magazine. Let me show you guys. So this is that video option mag that I was talking about. This one, it is the same kit that I bought for my Mark II. So I saw this magazine. I had to buy it because of the car. It's not an exact Mark II, but it's a JZX100. And then I was like, oh, look, a JZX100. I have a JZX100. Then I ended up picking up a Trom kit, although mine is a replica kit. Don't come for me. Also wanted your guys' opinion. Lately, I've been running my Thrash Pink I Love You wheel. Do have this wheel. This wheel is a Joy Supply wheel. It says Spirit of the Good Old Days. This one is a Hitman inspired wheel from Joy Supply. Joy Supply is an incredible company. So just want your guys' opinion. What wheel would you guys run? All right, so other than the cooling system, which I do hope that I have taken care of, there is still one issue with this car, and I got to take care of that pretty bad. With this one, anytime I'm driving the car over 5 minutes, the catalytic converter icon pops up. So with these cars, they do have a separate light for the check engine light and the catalytic converter. Most American cars, when the catalytic converter goes out, you'll get a check engine light. With this vehicle, and I'm assuming most Japanese vehicles, they'll throw an actual catalytic converter light. Ever since I switched out the cold air intake, it was having an issue with that. After driving for only 5 minutes, it would pop up and show, you know, a catalytic converter icon. I ended up throwing the stock airbox back in, and it was still doing it. So I'm at first was thinking that it was just a bad IAT sensor, which is the intake air temperature sensor. This adjusts the fuel to air ratio. At first I was thinking that could have gone bad because that will do it. I still have to order that sensor, so it's good to replace it anyways. $10. Looked up the part number on eBay. Hope it's the right part. Other than that though, the reason I'm thinking that my catalytic converter is clogged, that's why I think that code's showing up, is because after driving, I do smell really bad rotten eggs, as Google will call that smell. And it's a sulfur. It's sulfur, and that kind of shows that either the catalytic converter is going out or it's getting clogged. So because of that catalytic converter icon and the smell of sulfur after driving, I'm led to believe that it is an issue with the actual catalytic converter and not a sensor. I'm still going to replace that sensor, which is the only sensor that was touched when I was doing that cold air intake, which is of course messing with the air. Luckily the mass airflow is all the way back at the throttle body, so I don't have to necessarily worry about that sensor. Still could be a culprit, but not that high on the list. I'm going to replace that sensor. Like I said, it's a $10 sensor if you search in that part number online. Other than that, I am going to try to take care of the catalytic converter, and that's by dealing with the rest of the exhaust. With this car, if I come to the back here, peep the flames on the taillights, you may notice though that there is not an exhaust there, and that's because I cut it. Now I know cutting it is kind of like jerry-rigging it or making it, you know, not truly tasteful, but with this car, there was 2 giant mufflers on the car. Definitely was not a good sounding sound, so we took them off. Luckily, we just made one cut, took all the mufflers off. We made it right at the muffler. The car actually sounds really good with the no mufflers, so I do not regret it, and I do plan to do an exhaust, so that's why I was like, we'll just take care of it now. If the catalytic converter is clogged or bad, I am going to actually just take the catalytic converter off. Now, since it is a classic vehicle, I don't need to register it through smog, therefore, I don't need a cat. I do plan to just fully straight pipe it. Done a lot of research on the 1GFE engine. Does sound pretty good when it's straight piped, so not too worried about the sound. I am going to do it right and take it to a shop for them to actually do it. They're the ones who welded the exhaust on my Subaru, which sounded amazing. I'll go ahead and put a clip of what the car sounded like. Other than that, as far as the exhaust goes, I do love that traditional style of the double barrel shotgun exhaust. So that does, you know, struck my mind as top of the list of what I may do as far as the muffler, as well as it would just accentuate with this kit. So essentially I do plan to do just full straight pipe with that double barrel shotgun muffler or exhaust tip, if you will. And then I do plan to finish wrapping the car. Like I said, it's cold. Wrap doesn't really want to stick to it. The wrap is coming out amazing so far. It's not the worst for it being my first time, but I'm very happy with how it's doing. So thank you guys for watching this video once again, and just sitting here yapping. I do know that this is, or I think it's going to be a longer video by far compared to that last video that I posted. With this one, a lot going on with the car, like introducing the new wrap and the color, which super stoked on that. Just gotta wait for it to kind of warm up a little bit. Wrap's not sticking too well with it right now, just with the temperature. I'm doing this in January, as well as I'm hoping that that coolant system is flushed. I'm gonna go in the morning, open up, turn the car on, check that radiator cap and make sure that the coolant is still topped off. If it is, top it off, let the system burp. Hope that everything goes well with that. Like I said, is running smooth. And then only major fix on the top of my list right now is that catalytic converter icon. Like I said, I'm just thinking that the catalytic converter is clogged up, so we'll take care of that and hopefully do a very, very tasteful exhaust on that. Don't mind the Assassin's Creed Odyssey in the background. I was playing that, got kind of bored this morning. But just wanted to say genuinely thank you guys for tuning into another video. I definitely plan to make a lot more videos. Like I said, I'm really just doing these to be able to look back on the car and be like, wow, it's crazy to see the progression of the car. And in my opinion, moving pretty quickly with the car, since I did only get this car in August and it's January. So moving pretty quickly in my opinion. So it's just super fun to document it and super fun to post it. I'm glad that you guys are tuning in and actually watching this with me. Because it's insane to be able to sit back and work on the car and realize like, man, this is like real and this is life. So it's pretty fun, but just thank you guys for tuning into the video. You guys don't have to listen to me yap anymore. But thank you guys for watching.